Number 1. The bright light flashes in my eyes again, and I can hardly stand to blink them. The discomfort has grown worse every passing day. This is the third year in a row they've came, taken their pictures, and left. World's oldest man. One for the record books. Blah, blah, blah. Today I turned 125, and I'm certain I'll make it to 126. I buried my wife when I was 75, cancer. My daughter when I was 100, also cancer. My son, 108, and wouldn't you guess, cancer. My body is what you would expect a body that has lived 125 years to be. Worn out, I can't speak, I can hardly eat. My wheelchair is considered an antique. My nurse stops by twice a week to give me a bath. I am but a shell with a semi-functioning brain. We're taught about guardian angels when we attend Sunday school, but no one ever tells you that there are personal grim reapers as well. You see, their job is to look over one specific person, just one of God's precious creatures, until that person's time to die has come. Then they take their soul and escort them up or down, depending. No one really knows that part, and if they do, they don't tell it. They also don't tell you that angels can be killed. But the book? The book told me. Right there in dull red ink, page 47. It even gave me the incantation to trap one. One page before explained the key to immortality, a pair of angel wings. Historians like myself don't take ancient beliefs in magic very serious, but this one, I felt a strange need to attempt, like it called out to me. His name was Samuel. He begged me to stop the entire time, but I couldn't. He told me I didn't know what I was doing, and he was right. I cried while he told me about the time he pushed me away from a speeding car when I was 4 and played too close to the street. When he stopped my car from starting and I was 10 minutes behind the pileup on the interstate. Nothing he said took away my need to finish. I wish I had been able to stop. He was dead before I was even halfway through the second wing. Now he's gone, and there's no one to take my soul. So I sit here year after year, my body dying, but my soul, well, they always said it was eternal. Number 2. The powdered toxins were administered through the mucous membranes, and the sacrifice fell in stupor. His pulse was faint, he appeared as dead. The priest tied off the blood flow to his limbs. They anointed him with grave dirt and congealed blood to begin the growth of decay. The priest pinned his eyes open so the flies could lay their eggs. They did not need to open his mouth. The flies found their way in through the sacrifice's nose. Whenever he began to stir, the priest administered more toxin. By the end of the 3rd day, his pulse was still there. His limbs were putrid and gangrenous, dead. Maggots spilled from his now blind eyes, and worms crawled from the holes in his face. They started the detox, and they chanted in religious ecstasy. The sacrifice's heart beat harder, and the priest went silent when his lungs sucked fly-ridden air. His oozing screams and the buzz of greedy wings became the song of praise for the God of Decay. Number 3. I first noticed I was being followed on my birthday this year. I'd been out with my friends, just for a low-key meal and drinks, but it ran on until a little past midnight when the small Italian restaurant and bar had to kick us out before closing. It was my 30th, and I made everyone promise that they wouldn't make a fuss, a pointless promise that of course none of them stuck to. There was cake and singing, and gifts far too big to be brought into a restaurant, but they were brought in nonetheless. If it hadn't been for the big 3-0 hanging over my head, I probably would have described it as a perfect night, but there was the ominous dread that I just couldn't shake. Dread that I had put down to my new age bracket of 30 to 45 and little else. Now, I wonder how long he was really watching, and how long my subconscious could feel it. As we left the restaurant and the group split, I had countless offers of rides home and what seemed like even more offers to continue the festivities elsewhere. "The night is young and we're not dead yet," one of my friends remarked. I laughed this off and politely refused both the prospect of any lift home or continuing the drinks elsewhere. "I'm 30, I said. "I need sleep now. You may be judging my friends for leaving and driving home themselves while leaving me to walk the relatively short journey. But don't judge too harshly. The thing is, all of those friends are people who know me the best in the world. They know I'm an extroverted introvert. They know I find social gatherings draining, and they know I need time to decompress and relax after them. So really, they were trying to do me a favor. Besides, I lived the closest and pretty much in the exact opposite direction to almost all of them. So it's really not that bad when you see it like that, right?" I was walking for maybe a little over 5 minutes when I felt the shift in the air. My stomach tensed and the hairs stood up in the back of my neck. It was a feeling from the restaurant again, as if my body knew that something was wrong before I even had the slightest idea. I didn't turn, I didn't want to. I simply thought if I kept my pace up and chose my route wisely, I could be home safely and quickly before I had to know who or what was on my tail. I'd usually cut through the alleys and parks to get home a little quicker from town. It would shave off a good 5 to 10 minutes if I was walking quick enough. Tonight, however, I knew it was best to keep to the well-lit safety of the streets. Whenever I'd pass houses with lights on, I'd feel a twang of relief, as if knowing that someone else so near was awake and alert and could save me if it really came to it. 2 more roads later, I got the terrifying proof that I so hadn't wanted or asked for. Passing a large camper van, I caught a glimpse of a shadowy figure close behind me in the reflection of the back window. He was close, much closer than even my body thought, and totally enveloped in darkness. A hood was pulled tightly over his head, concealing all of his face in shadow. His hands were tucked into the hoodie pocket, and it struck me that I could not make out one notable feature of his. Scarier still, he was silent. I don't mean quiet, like I'd really have to listen to hear his steps. I mean totally and utterly silent. I sped up a little, not wanting to make it too obvious that I clocked him and wanted to run for my life. If I run, he runs, I thought. I could almost feel him now. Each step I took seemed a little too slow, too short, and too late to stay ahead. Another turn in the road. I swallowed my fear, clenching my fists and my jaw as tightly as possible, and I turned my head ever so slightly with the bend in the pavement. My body was right. He was closer now, barely 2 feet behind me. If I fell 1 step back, I would be within reach of his arms, yet he still wasn't speeding up. There was no lunging or running, just silent hovering behind me, every step of the way. I turned back to the road, wanting to scream for help, but wondering whether it would even do me any good. A woman screams in the middle of the night, and maybe someone emerges from a house to help if she's lucky. A man screams, however, and most people brush it off as a street brawl or a public domestic. They'd tut, roll their eyes, and switch sides of the pillow before calling it a night again. I was almost home, maybe 2 minutes away, when I felt the lightest touches fall on my shoulder. It was comparable to when my grandma would brush the grass off my shirt whenever I'd come back inside from playing, but my body knew better. Every part of me tensed and shook, and in that instant I leaned forward and pulled out the fastest home sprint known to mankind. I reached my door and fumbled for my keys breathlessly. I hadn't heard him pick up the pace behind me, but that didn't mean anything. I knew he was there. I knew he was right behind me for every single step. Just like I knew he'd stop directly behind me when I almost body slammed into the door. I unlocked the door and pushed my way inside, just as I felt that familiar, ominously gentle caress on my shoulder once more. I slammed the door shut behind me and locked each and every lock, 4 in total. I couldn't breathe. My heart was beating through my chest. And most terrifying of all, I was sure he was still there, just on the other side of the door. But I never looked. I couldn't bring myself to. Instead, I climbed the stairs, went straight into my bedroom, and slid my chest of drawers in front of my door. It's been a little over 6 months since then. Now, he's standing outside my house, staring into the window at me in my dimly lit living room. I feel paralyzed, like all I can do is stare back into his empty void where a face should be. I need to call the police. I need to turn off the lights so he can't see me. I need to lock the front door. But it's too late. He's there, and he knows I'm here too. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I just wanted to give a big shout out to those who let me narrate their stories today. The links to the original Reddit posts will be in the description below, so make sure to go show them some love. I'll be posting new videos every week, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a like if you enjoy the content. If you would like your story featured in an upcoming video, I'll leave a link to my Reddit profile in the description as well, or you could leave a comment below. So thanks again, and I'll catch you all on the next one.